Alright, it's starting to get pretty chilly out there. It's only October and we're already down in the 20s sometimes, at night anyway. Getting the 30s during the day. And so decided to go with a diesel heater. So here it is, it's arrived. It's actually pretty impressive since I ordered it on Wednesday and this is Friday and it's already here. So that's good. So let's pop this thing open and see what's in here. Obviously the fuel tank, heater itself, proper. Looks like the fuel line, electrical cables, fuel pickup, clamp. A filter to go at the end, exhaust, blower directioner, I don't even know what you call that, miscellaneous clamp, some zip ties, fuel filter, some duct work. Assume that's air intake and more ductwork. Several choices with the fuel tank here. You can mount sort of a fuel pickup at the bottom like this, and one of the things that they say is that if you mount the bottom you get a bunch of sediment in there and eventually it'll clog up. So then there's another place here we could drill and you could mount on the side, but then you're giving up about 1/4 of the capacity of your fuel tank. So that's not really that good either. Then I could go with a fuel pickup, and that will, you can cut this up from the bottom so that you're up an inch or so, and you get a lot more capacity than you had before, and you're not getting the bottom. So I think that's what I'm going to do. It's weird they don't give you a like a reinforced spot like they do here to drill to mount the screw into. It might be kind of thin. I kind of worry about cracking it a little bit, but maybe, especially since it's at the top, you don't have to worry about leaking so much, and you don't have to crank it so tight. So I think I might do that because it's at the top anyway. It's not going to leak, and then it's actually go from the bottom. That's a long way for the fuel to go up. So from the top, since I'm going to mount it, right underneath the heater. And maybe that's a short distance of fuel line, so maybe that's the best way to go. process is to build a rack at the bottom. I don't really have like a shelf or under storage or place to put it, so I'm going to build a rack and hang it. I think I'm going to do it the way I did, similar to with the propane tanks. So I sort of drew up some plans. I got a bunch of metal laid out here, and we're going to build a rack to sort of screw this into. So those of you who saw the door video, we did the Skoolie door, I thought the door was pretty. I'm really happy the way that came out. This, not pretty. That's pretty ugly. Splatter everywhere, uneven beads. Oh well. It's a learning process, right? But it seems pretty rugged. And I think that will sit in there like that. And we'll drive the screws into it, the self-tapping screws, and that will hang underneath the bus. And I think that'll work all right. So I'm going to wait for it to cool just a little bit more. Again, it's still a little warm. And then prime it and paint it. And then I haven't decided if I'll mount the tank on it first or if I'll mount this and then mount the tank to that. One of those two options. It's been about an hour. I'll like to tell you exactly how long. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. It is 41 degrees outside right now. And in here, right on the ceiling, opposite of the ceiling, it's 66 right there. The floor is 52, which is odd. I thought it actually would be warmer down there right next to the heater. And right sort of here, opposite of it, it's 59. Back here I'm a little nervous about. Ooh, it's 44 back there. So this is gonna have to run quite a bit to get the bus up to temperature. And I think probably if you're gonna do a winter in a bus like this, you're probably gonna need 2, I think. Okay, so the next day, and like I said, we came out last night, about 3 hours. And they've got the temperature in the bus up to over 60, like 62. And the temperature was mid-30, so I brought up 30 degrees. Just as sort of a reference point, we got 2 inches of foam, spraying foam in the ceiling, 2 inches of rigid foam in the walls, and 1 inch in the floor. The skylights are not insulated, and the rear of the bus, the rear bulkhead and back behind the bedroom isn't insulated yet. So I think it's just manageable. It's just gonna take a while to to get it warmed up. I think once it's warmed up, it stays a little bit better. So today's project is cleaning up the wiring. I just wanted to hook it up to make sure everything worked all right, but I want to tidy this up. And one thing I have discovered about that the power always stays on the controller, and I might not want that if I'm running off battery. So I think I'm going to actually hook just a plain old light switch in this, so that just super easy. I suppose you can just unplug it, but I might as well hook it up to a light switch. Although from what I've read too, it's really important. One thing I'm worried about is someone will inadvertently hit the light switch while it's running, which is really bad for it. It kind of wants to go through its own sort of power shutdown and blow the fan. So that's something I guess to think about. But I think I'm going to put the light switch anyway. And the other thing is I got all this extra wire, and I'm going to cut this down to make it to be just as much as I needed, because you have this all extra wire, and it's pretty sensitive, I think, as far as voltage draw. And with DC, you're going to get voltage drop with all this extra wire. So I'm trimming up, running into a switch. I would love to put it in conduit, because I put everything else in conduit just to kind of protect it from vibrations and mice and things like that. But I wasn't planning on putting anything electrical here, and now trying to run more, and the conduit stuff's pretty full that I already have, and trying to get more stuff in there, I think it's just going to be a bigger project than I can handle. So it's going to be without conduit. Alright, so that's a little tidier in there. Get the switch, the wires going into there. So I have the ground that just kind of connects to the ground, and I grounded that to one of the bus ribs. And the power from the heater goes into the switch, and the power in from the battery comes into the switch as well. Alright, so now we got heat on the bus. It is about 38 degrees outside and about 60 degrees in here. I don't know, just kind of, I think we had a sunny day, so the bus kind of warmed up itself, because I only turned the heater on about 20 minutes ago and cranked it up to high and then sort of slowed it down a little bit. So seems to be working great. So this is the sound of it. You can hear the pump pulsing a little bit and sort of the blower blowing air out, but that's not too bad. I'll trade that for warmth anytime. So a couple, I don't know, traps, things to look out for that are kind of a combination of reading the forums and watching videos and kind of my own musings as I went through some things to look out for. So make sure to orient the fuel filter the right way. And I kept forgetting. I had to go back and which way is it supposed to go? So I'll post a picture for you to do that. Same thing with the fuel pump. I mean, it kind of made sense to me, but I was kind of convinced in the process, like, geez, I'm going to get that backwards. So the fuel pump and the fuel filter going the right way. Also the silencer, the muffler should, it looks kind of flat, but it actually should be up and down vertically like this, so not the flat side like this, and there's a hole at one end that allows condensation to drip out of it, so make sure that's pointed down. I could see myself screwing that up too, and as I hung that. Also, when I mounted the plate down and then realized I forgot to run the wire through, and you can't just sort of fish it through there, like there's a groove, and so if you want to fish that wire through, so do that ahead of time, so you don't have to pull it back up because I forgot the wire. And other than that, it went pretty smooth. Although the other thing is I mounted everything in place, and then again, I got that H8 area for fuel, and it was just as I put it in, the fuel line got kinked underneath and sort of stopped it. So, and the other thing I did, and honestly, I can't remember. I'll go back and edit, and I can't remember if I did this or not. But I sort of basically turned got a bunch of fuel in the line before I even primed it, just because they'd say that the fuel itself is what lubricates the pump, and so if it runs dry for too long, it'll tend to wear out the pump. So I try to get as much fuel in that line, just kind of, pushing fuel down and pushing the tank around, lifting the tank up in the air, and allowing as much fuel to get through that line before I mounted the tank. And that really, it primed and fired right up. So that was pretty good. So I guess that's it for the diesel heater install. Certainly appreciate you watching. Thanks for coming along. Stay tuned for some more woodworking projects coming up in the future. Hopefully that'll be out this week, I guess, sometimes. So like, subscribe, do those things that you do, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching.